If you are suffering from writer's block, this video is going to give you my best 7 tips for helping you overcome procrastination and giving your brain the space that it needs to come up with new creative ideas. All of these 7 tips will take you up to 30 minutes or less to set up and get started with so that you can immediately turn around and start writing. So if you're ready to go and you're ready to learn these 7 tips for overcoming writer's block in up to 30 minutes, then let's get started and let's get back to writing. Tip number 1, block all distractions, phone, computer, and your physical space. Now, we're typing at a computer that can be constantly bombarding us with information. Our phone is right beside us, sending notifications at us, and we're often working in open office plans where people can come in and out and ask us questions. So we need to protect our space. First, in your physical space, you want to set yourself a room where preferably you can shut the door and keep people from interrupting you during your writing process. If that isn't possible, consider instead writing in a public space like a library or a cafe where people might not be around who know you and can bother you and distract you. Next, we need to think about our cell phones as well. We need to find a way to block all notifications from there that are going to distract us. I use Samsung's modes and routine function. It lets me program in which days and times I should be writing, and at those days and times, my phone now automatically goes into airplane mode and do not disturb. Little bonus here, if I'm skipping writing for some reason that day, my phone shuts down anyway. It's a little bit of added motivation to just write anyway. And then finally, as we're often typing on our computers, we should find a way to prevent ourselves from defaulting to our most common distractions on the computers as well. I have a bad habit of clicking away to things like my email or to social media for just a minute while I'm gathering my thoughts. Okay, listen, it's never ever a minute. So now I use an extension from Google Chrome called Forest. This one I've actually used to replace my Pomodoro timer because you still set a timer, and during the time that timer is running, you are growing a tree. And if you move away from your project or go onto distracting or blocked websites, your tree stops growing. So this allows me to still use the internet so I can still look things up as I need while I am writing, but it keeps me away from all of the stuff that is distracting me during the set 25-minute chunks of my timed writing session. So these are the techniques I use, but I know they don't work for everybody. Find things that work for you, that block the distractions you need to block while allowing the things that you need to still come through. So now, before even starting your writing sessions, hopefully you will have these systems in place that you can just lock everything down, block out all your distractions, and go right into writing from the beginning of your writing session. Tip number 2, try a writing tangent exercise to get the juices flowing. Sometimes, especially at the beginning of a writing session, we get a little bit stuck or we have a hard time getting started because we're not quite there in the mindset yet for writing. And that's okay. What I like to do instead is the first usually 15 to 20 minutes of every writing session, I am reading the previous text that I wrote, or I am reading notes that I took for what I need to be writing. This allows my brain to slowly start turning on, to slowly start coming around to the fact that I need to be moving into this writing project now. And then by the end of usually 15 or 20 minutes, my brain is on and ready to go. I'm in the mindset, I'm thinking about the project, and I am ready to start putting text on paper. The point here is just to find a technique that works to ease you into the writing process. And that could be anything from having your own brainstorming session, jotting down notes, rereading your text like I do, rereading your colleagues' texts, talking out loud to yourself about what you need to work on this project. Whatever it is, you have something that helps turn your brain on, helps tell your brain it's time to focus, and you can sit down and get started on your writing project. Tip number 3, take a break. Unlike techniques designed to help you get started writing at the beginning of a writing session, this one is most useful if you're in the middle of a writing session and you're finding yourself very much stuck. I know it is a common trait of academics that we work ourselves way too hard and take way too few breaks, and that somehow becomes a rite of passage. But unfortunately, creative projects don't care what the typical mindset in academia is. Creativity requires space. You need to be able to give your brain space and time to process things and to be turning over information in the background so that when you do go to sit down and write, you have coherent thoughts about what you need to write and you can put them down on paper. If you're pushing yourself too hard, if you're forcing yourself to remain rigidly at your desk even though no words are coming out, you're probably doing yourself a lot more harm than good. Step away, give yourself a break. This break can be anywhere from 5 minutes if you feel like you've taken a break very recently to a much longer break of 30 minutes to an hour. But play around with different options and find levels of break that work for you. For me, I know that I try to pretty strictly enforce a 5-minute break of every 25 minutes of working and longer 30-minute to 1 hour breaks once I have a few chunks of working time in place. Whatever length of time you need and you find that works for you though, try to fill that time with something that takes zero brain space. Let your brain shut down. Go do a chore, go pet your cat, go make yourself a tea, go for a walk, whatever you need to do. Let your brain shut down, give your brain some time off, and you will usually be very pleasantly surprised when you come back to your project after your break. Tip number 4, take a shower or a walk. Have you ever heard of shower thoughts? The often very off-the-wall or creative ideas that just pop into people's heads when they're taking a shower? Yeah, those are a thing, and for a good reason. Often mundane or seemingly unrelated activities give our brains space to shut down for a little bit and just let some processing and turnover occur in the background. And this is absolutely essential for any creative work, including writing. In fact, Stephen King swears by a daily walk to help get his writing done. So if you're stuck, maybe instead of forcing yourself to think harder, try to allow yourself to not think at all. Find something mundane, some kind of activity, preferably that you enjoy, that allows you to go almost on autopilot, so that when you go to sit down and write the next time, you've already had time to process, you've had a lot of time to think, and you have your thoughts better formed to help you put words on paper. Tip number 5, find and schedule time with a body double. So what is body doubling? Making its rounds in the ADHD community due to its ability to help neurodivergents sit down and get their tasks completed, body doubling is just having another person sit next to you while you are working on your task. I know it sounds silly, and I know it seems like it might not work, but it is definitely worth a try. The accountability alone of having a set scheduled time where you're going to meet somebody and sit down with them is often enough to just set the right mindset for writing. So where can you find a body double? This can be anybody. This can be a friend, a colleague, a romantic partner, a grandmother, and additionally a random stranger that you found on the internet who maybe also needs a body double. Several websites now out there allow you to sign up and schedule time with a body double. Check out the links in the blog post linked below for some sites you can use for either finding a body double or finding set group working times where you're going to come online with a couple different people, focus together independently on your tasks, but you're going to have the accountability of having another person sitting right beside you also working while you are working on your project. Always have your next body double work session scheduled before this one ends so you have some kind of accountability pulling you into your next writing session. Tip number 6, move to a new physical location. This change of scenery is often enough to help awaken new senses and shake loose some words that you can start getting onto paper. So if you're having a hard time writing, if you're having a hard time thinking and focusing in the place where you are sitting right now, maybe you need to find yourself a quieter spot in the library or a busier spot in a cafe, which is usually my preferred option. Or alternatively, can you just move to your colleague's desk for the afternoon if they're not using it? There are a lot of different options you can employ here for moving yourself to just a new location where you have new sights and sounds and smells. For me, I think it's even just the process of getting there that is often helpful, because if I pick up my computer and walk 10 minutes to the coffee shop down the street, I have had a break, I have had a 10-minute walk, and I am now in a new location. So this might take a little bit of guess and check to see what locations might work for you, but next time you're stuck, try picking up your computer and moving somewhere completely new and different and see if it helps get some words flowing. And finally, tip number 7, set yourself a system of rewards and punishments. Things like rewards and punishments can be a great way to help you focus on tasks and help you complete projects. And it can definitely be implemented to help you overcome writer's block. So what I would like for you to do here then is to just brainstorm a list of things that you want and would be motivating for you. Then rank them into different categories of how expensive or how big or how much time they would take for you to do, and then organize them by how often you might want to do them. Because I want you to have a system of rewards that you can give yourself for every single day that you complete your writing goals, for every single week that you complete your writing goals, for every month, and for every project that you do. Here's a couple things that I've seen work for people. Giving yourself access to chocolate that you want, but you don't want to eat every day. Eat it on the days that you've been writing. At the same time, give yourself guilt-free time to enjoy your activities. Or allowance to spend on fun purchases. Whatever works for you, try to find this system of rewards that you can give yourself from small doses up to big doses to correspond to the different goals and levels you'll set with your writing project. Now, if you're like me, whose brain is very well aware that I am an adult and I can give myself these things anytime, and I don't need to actually do my writing to give myself these, I need to also implement a series of punishments. And that usually requires me enlisting outside help. For instance, if my big reward for finishing my project is allowing myself to purchase something I've been wanting, what I normally have to do for this to work is buy a gift card to that store, give it to a friend who would also enjoy shopping at that store, and if I don't complete my writing project, my friend gets to spend the gift card instead. Let me put it this way. I have never lost one of these bets with myself because I absolutely do not want to buy a gift card for something I want and let somebody else have it instead. So for me, this punishment system is much more effective than just the reward itself. So a quick little caveat here, rewards and punishment systems are unique for every person and they very often only have a temporary effect. So first, you really do need to spend the time to make this something that works for you and make it something that motivates you. But do also note that rewards and punishments will often stop working after a set amount of time. That doesn't necessarily mean that the whole concept of rewards and punishments won't work for you. It just means that these specific rewards and punishments are no longer motivating. And that's okay. That just means that this is an exercise that you're going to need to revisit a couple times and across different projects to find things that are going to work and motivate you now. Help us out, guys. I have given you some of my ideas for what I do to take breaks, for where I go to get my writing done when I need to change locations, and importantly, what I use for my systems of rewards and punishments. But I'm only one person, and everybody is different. Help us put together a collection of ideas that people could use for their own systems. So comment below with what is helping motivate you to write right now. So hopefully at least one of these 7 tips is going to help you get back to writing and overcome your writer's block in a fairly short amount of time. If you're looking for something a little bit faster, never fear, check out the video linked below for tips that will take you max 1 minute to get started to overcome this writer's block. But if the reason you're still at the end of this video is because you still can't get your writing done, there's still more videos coming in this series on establishing healthy, long-term writing habits that will prevent writer's block from occurring in the first place. So to make sure you don't miss those videos, please subscribe to the channel so you're notified when they come out. And hopefully, happy writing.